Did you talk to the Parks Commission? Okay, got it. Did you talk to the Parks Commission? Did you talk to Human Rights? Did you talk to Sustainability? And so what I'm doing now that I'm vice chair is I'm reaching out to every commission, and I'm trying to let you know not only what our goals are, but ways that I think we can work well together. And based on what's happening in the world outside of lovely Palm Springs, I think that arts and the humanities really need to work together more than ever. And so Jay can tell you, I pitched this idea at our last commission meeting, and immediately afterwards I said, get me on the Human Rights Commission meeting. So I'm coming here of my own volition, and I'm putting you at your mercy as I take you through some of the ideas that we're talking about. Jay is also our staff liaison, so that's why he has history with me. One of the first things that I was involved with is the George Floyd mural when we had to vote to move it, because if you recall, the mural came down and it was put on private property during the COVID shutdown, and it was a very impactful mural, and I think it was important because it became the social release valve, but it was in a horrific location. It was on, as I said, it was on private property. It was done on plywood, on windows, and half the mural is on the plywood, half is on the building. So to move it, you still need to redo the entire mural. The city can't remove it because it's on private property. It's just, there's so many problems with it. And so one of, I think, the challenges that we have as a commission is to find ways that we can create immediate social release in a way that's impactful, not only for the human rights issues, but also for great public art. And as we know, the process of moving forward on some of these things is a challenge because we need to have our monthly meeting and we have to do it, and then needs to go through the approval process and staff and then city council agenda. So something that needs to be discussed right now could take 3 to 4 months. And I think that that's a big problem to deal with. And as I said, I have some thoughts and I would like your thoughts. You can, Jay has my contact information. I'm happy to meet with each of you individually. But one of the things that I was thinking we need to do is we also need to use public art to brand certain cities within Palm Springs. And so we have something on City Council agenda next Tuesday, which is moving some of the existing pieces of public art and grouping them together in Demuth Park. The 3 pieces are the 3 big squiggles that you see around town, the one in front of Regal Cinemas, the one in front of Ernest Coffee, and then the one at the Francis Stevens Park in the Community Arts Center there. The artist originally intended those to be together. They're really deteriorated, so we're moving them together as a way to define Demuth Park as a family activity park because they're fun, they're bright, they're primary colors. One other thing that I want to do personally is I want to start rebranding Francis Stevens Park as a park for social voices. And I want to ensure that all the artwork we do there is geared towards social voices in some capacity. And it makes sense because whenever there's a rally or a protest, we start in Francis Stevens. So I think we can make that sort of, and it truly is a park that's in the heart of downtown. It's in the heart of Palm Springs. So we can come up with some way to do that. Now, I see there could be 3 different types of artwork in that park. One would be sort of benchmark pieces that affect us every day, whether they be climate change or marriage equality or women's right to choose. Those could be substantial pieces in the park. The next 2 types are more, the second one is seasonal. So you may do something for Breast Cancer Awareness Month or Autism Awareness Month or the holidays. Those are calendar related, but we can deal with that in a way that, again, ensures everybody within the community is represented in this messaging. And then the last area that I think we need to be most importantly concerned about is reactive pieces. So again, Roe v. Wade being taken away, there should have been the opportunity for us to get a message out there that weekend. And the current system that we have set up in the city, there's no way to do that. So we're looking at different opportunities on how to deal with that. I would like to see some sort of installation in the park. I don't know if any of you have ever been to Lincoln Center in New York City. They have these sort of big placards in the front where they show it's like a little triptych and a little area thing that moves around. Something like that would work. We could do some sort of, as I said, maybe a cube formation where there's a different social message on each side of the cube. So we're working on that one. I have nothing necessarily to present to you, but again, if you have any thoughts on that, I would appreciate them. And as I said, we're going to be looking at other major sustainable pieces to go in that park as well. The one that I'm talking about tonight is the Pillars of Palm Springs, and that's just a working title that we use internally. At the last Joint Commission meeting, I believe Councilman Woods asked, what are your plans for Tahquitz Canyon? The horses, which we have there on loan, I believe they're done in April of 2023. They were part of Desert X. And he said, what do you have planned to replace that? You know, he said, that's the welcome to the city. And that sort of stuck with me because not only is it a welcome to the city, but it's also an exit from the city when you're leaving. And so I think we have an obligation to not only message what people can expect of Palm Springs when they come, but we want them to remember when they leave. And so an idea that we had was to create what, again, we're calling the pillars of Palm Springs. And the way we got to that is the pads that were created for the horses are 5x5 cement. And one problem I have with the horses, I think they're beautiful pieces of artwork, but they're lost there. The landscaping overpowers them and you just don't really even notice them. And they're intricate, beautifully done pieces, but the cars drive by and you can't stop, you can't walk up to them and they're in the median. So we had this idea of doing sort of big social messaging as a pillar in the middle and taking 6 basic equities of Palm Springs. So what would the 6 words be that we think represent Palm Springs? And the ones we're working with right now are creativity, equality, diversity, serenity, civility, and community. And then what we would do is go to 6 different artists, a variety of artists that, you know, one could be a 20-year-old Hispanic female artist, and one could be a 70-year-old disabled male artist, just a variety of artists to show how they handle that specific equity in a piece of art. We're not quite sure if it will be a graphic treatment of the word, where they take creativity and do something like the typography treatment, or if it would maybe be figural. You know, one of my favorite pieces is Anna, which is behind Desert A's project. You look at it and you think it's just this big rustic piece, and you get close and it's this beautiful woman's body with the burden of this big tree on her shoulders, and yet she's carrying it. So something like that, again, could be philosophically interesting and it's figural, and it could stand out in there. As I said, we have not finalized this concept yet. We would like your consideration and input. We have the money to support it. And our ultimate goal is to continue to work together on many projects so that when we are at the genesis of something, we get your input, we incorporate it, and then when it ultimately goes to council for their sign-off, the sign-off will happen a lot faster. So.
Thank you, Gary, for that presentation. Certainly, we welcome the reaching out of your commission to our commission, because I completely agree with the need to seek opportunities for collaboration, particularly in these projects that will impact our entire community.
Yeah.
And we all love, obviously, Palm Springs. This is the reason why we join these commissions, right? And the work that we do. And there will be many others following us. Yeah. So I certainly appreciate that. And, as the chair of this commission, I certainly, will work to get our commission on board and to participate and engage so that we can definitely assist your commission moving forward with these projects. And it will be obviously a very positive outcome for all of our residents. Thank you for that.
I just want to throw one last thing, which I forgot, but Hugh and I discussed previously, is I was very happily enlightened when President Biden restarted the Commission on Presidential Arts and Humanities, and there will be federal funding for that. Mm-hmm. So I think there may be an opportunity for our 2 joint commissions to apply for a federal grant, and something that we can do in a big way around the city. I think it needs to, honestly, it needs to be something that, to get a federal grant, you have to show there's a reason why you couldn't use your existing money to do it. So, I think if we just do something big and attention getting, we have a good shot.
Yeah. So when that becomes public knowledge and we know about the requirements and the procedure to make the application viable, we should certainly have, a joint meeting to discuss it and look at the information packet so that we can see how we best construct that application and hopefully get some of those funds to help out these projects.
Thank you. And as I said, if either of you have an idea that you think would work with the concept we're playing around with for Francis Stevens on a way to get immediate messaging out there and enable, again, the social release valve, because we know that the people in the city care. And as I said, the idea of just working together, I think, is really important. I don't think we have the same goal. We're not adversaries, and let's work together at the conception.
Thank you, Gary, very much.
If you need to contact me for anything, Jay has my contact information. Okay. Great. Thank you for having me.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
All right. So moving along, we have now the reports. We don't have anything to report on the executive report standing committee. Number 2 is community relationships budget personal report. A, PSPD LGBT outreach liaison. We all received an email today that Jay forwarded to the entire commission about an individual who was reportedly harassed, and reported this to the police. Evidently, this individual by the name of Corey Mondello attended our bullying symposium and might have spoken to one of us, and I really don't know because it wasn't me. But the thing I wanted to impress on the entire commission is that we will certainly bring this to the police on the next meeting, which is, and I'll forward this to the officer who's our liaison in that committee. The next outreach liaison meeting takes place next Thursday. And so I'm intending to bring this to them and obviously prepare to talk to the police about what has been done and what transpired after that report took place. And I'll be happy to bring back information to report to the entire commission. Master Calendar Liaison, Commissioner Viñolo.
Well, I should probably first ask, should I be doing this any longer, or does Edwin want to take it back? Because I took it when Edwin temporarily was not, or Commissioner Ramaran was not on the commission. But Commissioner Ramaran, if you want to take this back, I think you had it originally. I'm happy to do that.
Thank you for recommending that, Commissioner Viñolo. I respectfully decline. I didn't originally have it. It was.
I thought you did.
No, I did have it the past year too.
Oh, okay.
But it's already been decided that you'd be taking care of that. But if there's things that you want to talk about here in terms of the master calendar, we could do that here.
No, that's fine. The only things I had to bring to the commission's attention were the Veterans Day Parade on November 11th from 3:30 to 5:45. I don't know if we're participating in that. I don't know if anyone's initiated our involvement in that parade. I think we were involved previously, but that is one event on the master calendar. The other things I just wanted to mention were International Day for Tolerance is November 16th. I don't know if the commission wants to do anything in recognition of that. There's the International Day of Persons with Disabilities on December 3rd. There's World AIDS Day on December 1st. And then there's Human Rights Day on December 10th. So there are specific human rights related days coming up that I guess I feel that the Human Rights Commission might want to in some way recognize going forward and in a public way, or at least let the public know about these events or about these specific days and what they're all about and how to observe them. And in fact, my hope would be maybe down the road, that we as a commission would visibly, have something in recognition of these days, or at least partner with other groups to recognize these human rights related days. The one that's probably I'm a little unclear on is the Transgender Day of Remembrance. I know that's coming up on November 20th, and I'll have to admit I'm unclear as to who the lead is on this particular event. I don't know if it's a city-sponsored event. I don't know if it's simply being hosted, I believe, by the Transgender Health and Wellness Center. I know QueerWorks has mentioned to me at the Bullying Symposium that they're interested in having some involvement with this, but I think there have been issues in the past. Again, I don't know enough of the history of it, but I also feel that the Human Rights Commission has a role in Transgender Day of Remembrance, but I don't know how to execute that. So I'm throwing it out to the commission to kind of enlighten me as to, do you think we have a role to play in this day? Jay may be able to enlighten me as to who's the lead on this day. But I think, I'm a little confused as to what we should be planning to do around November 20th, 2022. I think it's from 6 to 7 p.m. at the City Hall. Do we just show up? So I open the floor. I invite your comments and questions and suggestions. Thank you.
Any comments from commissioners?
I think Veterans Day Parade is certainly a program worthy of our participation if we have enough people to do it.
Thank you.
We have to apply for that?
No,
Or do
to
we just
participate.
show-
Yes, there's that
Isn't there?
application.
It's a simple application on
Hmm,
the city Parks and Rec page, I think.
Okay, I have a website, so if you want, I'll check out the website and
Yeah, there's no cost to participate.
no,
It's
I
just
just,
submitting the application.
okay.
We have until October 15th to submit.
Okay. So I will encourage you definitely to apply. We did this, we participated in the event last year, and it would be great if we can participate in the event again this year. And of course, all of our commissioners are invited and welcome to join. It's a great event, and we certainly, need to be there and be visible.
So we're doing that one, and we're also doing the Pride Parade, right, on November
and we
6th.
do have Pride also as well. And so Commissioner DeHart, do you want to give us a little update on Pride? Since we're talking about this?
Yeah, about the entry for Human Rights Commission. We don't know the number yet. It's coming probably in the next 7 days. But it's going to be relatively in the same area as it was in years past. So in the upper teens, with the rest of the city groups, police and fire, will be in that block. But still showing up by 10 a.m. on Saturday, November 6th, gathering by Tachiva and Palm Canyon. If you just go to Tachiva and walk north a little bit, you'll see the city or our team banner there, and you'll know you're in the right place.
And that's Sunday, November 6th, right? You said
Mhm.
Saturday, I think.
Oh, Sunday, November 6th. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, by 10 a.m. because the parade steps off at 10.
Okay.
Thank you. I want to table my comments for the Transgender Health and Wellness Center. We do have a point a little bit later in the agenda when I will be talking about transgender awareness.
Okay.
Any other comments from any other commissioner on this? Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Vignolo, for that update. Main Street Liaison, myself, I really don't have anything to report on Main Street. Organized Neighbors of Palm Springs Liaison, Commissioner Vignolo.
I don't have anything on that to report.
Okay.
There.
Number 3 on our agenda, Desert Highway Gateway States Community Association Liaison, Andrade Flood Shepherd. Do we have any updates?
I just want to mention this past Tuesday, I attended the Desert Highland Gateway Estates Community Association monthly meeting, and there was a very good briefing by Les Don J. Virata on the Homeless Navigation Center. And of course, it still drives a lot of questions, creates a lot of questions and interest by that community. And I guess Jay would attest to that. There were some pointed questions, but he handled it quite well. And I thought the briefing went well. And afterwards, I heard some comments about it. They said, well, it's going to happen, and the things that they talked about to alleviate some of the concerns were promising, and they have hope that it'll work out. That's all I have on that.
Thank you, Commissioner Flood. Okay, great. That's great. Number 4, Seniors, People with Disabilities, Veterans Affairs Report. This is Flood and Vignolo. Do we have anything to report?
I have nothing other than what's already been said about Veterans Day. It is a holiday, November.
Okay, great. Thank you. And we certainly should definitely sign up and participate.
Yes.
Okay, great. Number 5, Youth Education Affairs Standing Committee, Student Representative Henner. Good to see you. Robles, Shepherd, Vignolo. Any updates?
Not that I'm aware of personally. I don't believe so.
Okay. Any commissioner on this item? No?
No, but Robles is no longer a commissioner, right?
Yeah, so we need to amend the upcoming agendas to make sure that gets reflected. Thank you for catching that, Commissioner. You have a very good eye for all the details.
Thanks.
So that's good. Thank you. All right, so Commission Development Mediation Report, Andrade or Vignolo?
Nothing from me.
Nothing to report. And Equity and Social Justice Committee update, Vice Chair Shepherd, anything to report?
Same as last month. Before I called it, as I have some information.
So your audio was not really clear, and I think you got a little choppy. Can you?
I'm sorry. I said, as I said last month, we're still kind of reorganizing, refocusing that group, and there's been no action in the last month that I've been made aware of. And as soon as we get back on the calendar, start meeting and redefine ourselves, I will report back to this group.
Great. Thank you so much, Vice Chair Shepherd, for that. Any comments on this? Any discussion? Okay.
Yeah, there was one update, Vice Chair, that the monthly meetings will be the first Wednesday of each month. So the first one, it looks like on the calendar, will be upcoming is the first one in November. That's what I have.
Okay. Any other comment from any other commissioner? Thank you for that. Okay, so moving on to Community Service Awards. I am happy to report to the Commission that we are entering the process for the nominations for our Commission's awards. And we have some of the same logistics. Jay, can you tell us a little bit more about what is the process for getting these nominations in place?
I'm sorry. Yes, of course. So what we typically have are we have the commission review the application, make sure that that's in order, and then the application is then disseminated via the website, and it's made known to the public through a press release that Amy Blaisdell typically prepares. And then when all the nominations come in, we have a subcommittee do a preliminary review of the awardees and come up with the recommendations for the awardees based on what's been out there. And then the ceremony is typically held during our February meeting. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Commissioner DeHart may have a trick or two about getting this whole thing to run smoothly. So I would invite his comments also on how to proceed.
Thank you, Jay. Commissioner Hart?
Yeah, no, I think Jay got it. Getting the notice out to the public early enough is really important, so it can generate some awareness. And I think this is early, so this is good that it's on the agenda now. So I think that will help out to increase the awareness and hopefully increase the number of nominations that come in.
Certainly. Jay, the application is still not available on the city website, is that correct?
That's correct, Mr. Chair. I think we want to take a look at it, make sure there's no tweaks that need to be made or corrections from the prior year that we still need to address.
Mm-hmm. So once the application becomes available on the city website, I will encourage all of our commissioners to help with disseminating and making it available to the public that the nomination process has begun and that we will be accepting the nominations. One thing that I do remember from participating in this process last year is that obviously we wanted to make sure that they were not self-serving nominations, and that if our commissioners were to nominate an organization or an individual, that you would follow the same process as anyone else. So really think about who you would possibly like to nominate for this coming year awards, and we'll do process, and just keep in mind that there is a certain number of requirements for consideration of these nominations. So think about who you would like to also bring on board to be nominated. So yes, and it's great that we have it a little bit early now, because we need to spread the word and get a lot of people to participate in this process. So thank you for that, Jay. Great. D, promote mediation services. Any mediation services reports?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So on the community service awards, is there a timeline for when? I don't recall when.
Mm-hmm.
The applications have to be in. Can you just give me a ballpark of this?
Jay, do we have dates already?
We don't have dates. I think it's typically late December, early January that we have as the deadline. But as soon after, we are a little early this year, thanks to Annie for getting this on our radar. We can, once we have the application finalized and reviewed by the commission, we can get it out. So that should be able to get everything started.
And when is the ad hoc commission determined, who reviews the applications and makes the recommendation to the full commission of who should receive the awards? When does that occur?
That would be the November meeting. We'd set that ad hoc group, and that's a really good point, Commissioner Vignola. Then by the December meeting, I'm not sure if I've got the timing right. December or January meeting, they would have to be finalized. I would think maybe more January. There is a time where we need to know who the awardees are to have the plaques and things prepared. So that takes some time too.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ron, did you have your?
Yeah, Commissioner Hart. Ron, you had your hand on.
Yeah, so the deadline is usually always the beginning of December. So then the the subcommittee can come together and make a recommendation at the December meeting. So the subcommittee meets very quickly between December 1 and the December meeting. So the slate of suggestions gets voted on in December, and then the honorees, there's time to contact the honorees and get their acceptance between December 15 or the meeting in December and the next meeting of the Human Rights Commission in January. Because then if there's somebody didn't accept the acknowledgement, then that gives the commission time to vote for another honoree in mid-January, and then have time to get the awards ordered, like Jay was saying, for the February meeting.
Thank you. Thank you, Ron. That's very, very useful for us to really keep this in mind. The time will go really fast. So, you know, anything that we can do to get this out and to invite people to nominate and follow the process, it'll be great. Okay, any other comments on this point?
Just so I'm clear, so November we'll have to, I guess, establish the ad hoc committee to review the applications that come in that short abbreviated window in December. So will that be on the agenda then? I assume, I don't know if it's a specific number of commissioners have to be on this ad hoc, or is it just a subset of the 8 commissioners that will review the applications?
So Commissioner Vignolo, last year was the executive committee who reviewed the applications, and we did this work. But I see your point, and I think it's very, very valid. We should definitely include this for items for item 2 discussion and possibly voting to see who would like to participate in the process, so that this will give the opportunity for other commissioners to participate in the nominating process as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Let's include that in the agenda. Thank you, Commissioner Vignolo. Any other comments on this?
Just a slight correction. So the way it has traditionally been is it has been the chair and vice chair, and then another person from the commission. It just so happens the rotating guest that was sitting on the executive committee was Hugo, and Hugo was part of the subcommittee. So, but normally there's always one other commissioner outside of the vice chair and the chair that review the awards.
Thank you.
And typically it's always been people, whoever was interested, raised their hand and was given that honor of serving.
Okay, so that kind of clarifies a little bit even more that it will be Vice Chair Shep and myself, and then one more commissioner who would be interested in participating in the process, and definitely we can put it up for a vote. Thank you, Ron, for that clarification. And it's a great process, by the way. So very engaging. Excellent. So we talked about that community. Okay, so any mediation services updates?
Yeah, I wanted, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to say that as a certified mediator, I still continue to work with the Community Action Partnership and working at the Small Claims Court in Palm Springs sometimes twice a week. Last month I did about 6 different cases with the Small Claims Court. And the CAP program still, they still want people to volunteer and get into the program. And so it's out there. I think it's worthwhile if we've got some time to do that. I have nothing else.
Thank you, Commissioner Flood. Any comments on this? Thank you for the update, Commissioner Flood. Transgender awareness, yes. So I wanted to bring this into the agenda because I wanted to start by saying that in that particular meeting where I invited Renee from the Transgenders and Wellness Center to join us and provide some public commentary. My intention was and continues to be, and I invite everyone to really think about this as an opportunity to bring some of these organizations in our community to introduce their work, their mission, what they're doing to help our communities in Palm Springs and to help us create awareness, because I believe that to the degree that they come and provide public commentary and it's now public record, we help them disseminate the message of their mission. And it also provides us with the opportunity to think about, how do we want to engage with these organizations as a Human Rights Commission? I remember very well the last year, Commissioner Ramaran participated in the vigil event that took place in City Hall. Commissioner Ramaran, that's right, that's correct, right? And it would have been wonderful if other commissioners could have also participated in those types of events. So I encourage everyone to think about other organizations that may be in a position to come and provide public testimony to the commission, and for all of us to think about how can we engage with these organizations in our capacity of commissioners for the human rights in our city. How can we help them amplify their message? I think that has a lot of value, and I would love to see more of it moving forward. This also gives us the opportunity to think about, who wants to get engaged with these organizations, not just in their events, but participating, perhaps joining their meetings, like, we have certain assignments. So think about that. And I encourage you to, talk to some of your favorite organizations, community organizations, and invite them to join our meetings and provide public testimony. This is the best way that we can help them amplify when they go on public record, right? So I don't know if anyone has any comments about this, but this was what I wanted to discuss with you. Okay, seeing that there's no comments, we're going to move on with the agenda. Yes, Commissioner Vignola, of course. Commissioner Vignola, I think you're muted.
So I totally agree with the chair's comments. So I guess I'm asking, what role, if any, is the Human Rights Commission going to have during the Transgender Remembrance Day on November 20th? I mean, it seems to me that the Human Rights Commission, if its mission is to promote and protect the diversity of our community and to improve human relations through education and community awareness, then we should step up through the city liaison and have a role. If this is a city-sponsored event, I don't know if it is or not, but if it's a private organization hosting an event on the steps of City Hall, then should we reach out to that private organization and say, we as a city commission and as part of our mission wish to engage with you and have a visible role in this event? I mean, that's, I guess, what I'm posing to the commission.
Mm-hmm. Commissioner DeHart, you raised
Yeah.
your hand raised.
So we've attended the event every year they've had it. So the Human Rights Commission has participated, and it hasn't always been at City Hall. It's been Ruth Hardy Park. So we've had a presence in attending, which is very important for us to continue to be there. And there was even one year, 2-3 years ago, I forget when it was, where they had asked, I was invited to speak, and they forgot to introduce me, so I didn't end up speaking. But we the acknowledgement of recognizing the commission and our presence was silently appreciated by the commission, and I would expect this year they would love to see as many stakeholders and leaders in the community attend the candlelight vigil as possible. So And I will certainly try to be there again this year.
Mhm.
So is it just limited to our physically being present?
That's all it is. It's a vigil.
Mhm.
So there's no speaking role, there's
It's
no.
not, I don't want to speak for the organizers, but it's not about us. It's about the transgender victims that have been murdered in the last year. So the focus is not on another entity. The focus is really on acknowledging the victims of crimes of hate. And it's that moment to.
Oh, I agree, but shouldn't the Human Rights Commission, in its role of promoting and protecting the diversity of our community, be offered comments, that are appropriate for the event? That's what I'm unclear of. I mean, I've gone to vigils for many things in my lifetime, and when you have something to say to educate the community, not just by standing there with your Human Rights Commission lapel pin, but you actually speak about the impact of these victims, what happened to these victims, and what we as a commission need to step up to do to ensure that it doesn't happen again. I mean, that's what I'm unclear about. I mean, what I have to admit, I didn't attend the previous ones, but it seems to me odd that we're just showing up and silently standing there.
Well, it's not our
Not
event.
the case.
I know it's not our event.
And
Chair.
it's
I mean,
so
It is not the case.
Commissioner Ramaran.
I put my hand up on purpose to say something, but I did attend last year, and I didn't just stand there. And it is about being able to be present and to say comments. So I did make comments and they introduced me as a commissioner from the Human Rights Commission. So yes, there is a role, and Commissioner DeHart knows that too. I mean, it's been like that for years. But I think the focus is on the vigil. It's not about being like this, being the Human Rights Commission, being the organizer of it. We're not. And it is an event that happens on the steps of City Hall, which is again something that's not. I think I saw the heads nod, so I think this is where people agree that it's not organized by the city, but it's actually we are there to help support the vigil itself. It comes in a lot of different ways. There are candles, obviously. There's even sort of an art installation, but there are representatives from not just Palm Springs who are present to give comments and to give support to the transgender community in the desert. There were two competing events that same evening, and I think our mayor had to attend both and speak at both, and I think it has there's something there that needs to be sort of addressed, to be honest. I think we did have Renee Poncelan from the director of outreach from the Transgender Health and Wellness Center come and speak. We do, as you had, Chair Loyola, and I think it would be great to have QueerWorks come and speak to us as well. There is a level of looking at how we can help, bridge the transgender community, because there is something there that's happening. And I'm being straight up about that, because I think that needs to be addressed. I think we're sort of, beating around the bush around that, but I think it's important to, yes, we do say something. We don't just stand there.
So do they invite you to speak, Commissioner Ramaran, or do you just raise your hand and say, I want to say something?
Again, it was an honor, privilege to be invited to, firstly, as a Human Rights Commission, to be asked to be a sponsor. So there is a level where they're looking at community sponsorship. So it isn't like we have to spread the wealth, which we don't have as a commission, but we do have the ability to go and show support as a commissioner who's appointed to the city, and to represent. I think it's a big deal. It's a really big deal when we see the amount of murders of our transgender communities. It's urgent, when it comes to that kind of thing. But obviously in this community here, we need to be, maybe we could be a bridge between the two sort of, vigils that could come together. There's a real strength in having that unity, and I think that disunity that day was very telling, and people knew that was happening. And I don't want to be part of something if it's not going to promote that kind of unity, and we need to bring that together. That's just me talking.
Yeah. Thank you for those comments, Commissioner Ramaran. Certainly, we have to keep in mind that the vigil is just one event. And one thing that I had the opportunity to discuss with Renee when I extended the invitation for her to join the commission and provide public testimony. And we all have to remember that the commission also has a remit with an educational intent. And one recommendation that I made, obviously, was to, we can perhaps think about, we can introduce you to certain organizations here in Palm Springs where you can offer your educational training programs and raising awareness about transgender issues. So they were very, very welcoming of that idea. And those are the kinds of things that we can think outside of just, attending a vigil. What else can we do to help them amplify their message? What can we do to help them find these other organizations where they can go in and provide sensitivity training about transgender issues? Because we know we need that. Every organization is not entirely completely aware about all the transgender issues and why we use pronouns. So that's just another thing we can do. And so, keep that in mind, because as we invite these other organizations, it's not just about one event. It's really thinking about what can we do to help them have a greater impact, and how the commission can help that way. Ron, you have your hand.
Yeah, I don't want the commission or the public to think that this is new for the commission. We've had other guest speakers come in, and the center's LGBT or the trans entity at the LGBTQ center, representatives came in and they met with us and talked at a commission meeting prior to COVID. And as Commissioner Amaran said, there's QueerWorks, and there's also the Trans Community Project. So there are a number of groups that it would be great to be able to invite them back and give them that opportunity to share with us what they're doing in the community now and how they see the opportunity that we might be able to help elevate their work.
Absolutely. Any other comment? Thank you for those comments. Moving on to the next item in the agenda is planning for next year. The only update I have for this, obviously, is that Commissioner Andrade raised her desire for the commission to meet in person and talked about planning. What I would like to say about this is that as a commission that is here to support and provide support to our city council, we really have to think about the strategic priorities in the city council plans. This is something that we've seen a document previously about what are the city council priorities, and we've got to really think about the work of the commission supporting those priorities. We are about to have, our election is coming up very, very soon. We will have a new city councils possibly in place. And this is something that we probably need to revisit at a later time. So I would like just to table this at a later time, but think about if we're going to bring these kinds of opportunities for events or how the commission can engage in other activities, we've got to think about those strategic priorities that the council has set for the planning. Okay. Any comments? Yes, Viñolo.
I agree with what you said, but how are you going to execute it if you don't have a strategic planning meeting with the commission? I mean, to simply say we have to align with the strategic priorities that the city has doesn't really give this commission a roadmap on what it's supposed to focus on going forward. I think that's what, I can't speak for Commissioner Andrade, but I feel it's important for us as a commission to have a serious discussion on what are we going to try to achieve in the next year, other than simply attending these monthly meetings and saying, inviting on occasion an outside group to come and offer public comments. What constructive events, programs are we going to put forward as a commission in pursuit of our goals and objectives if we don't establish what those goals and objectives are going forward? So I
Ron?
respectfully encourage you to think about holding a strategic planning meeting in person with the commission so we can set out our objectives and goals for next year. Otherwise, I just feel like we're spinning our wheels. So,
Ron? Ron, you have your hand up. And you're muted.
Accident, sorry.
Okay. Well, thank you for that, Commissioner Vigneault. I certainly agree. We certainly need to, think about this in a way that what is going to make the commission obviously be more effective in the work that we're doing at the moment. But just like the bullying symposium came out of an idea that and an opportunity that you saw and you brought it to the commission and the attention of the commission, and it transpired into a great event after planning and all the hard work. We will continue to look at those opportunities. But this is an item that we will continue to have in the agenda, and we'll certainly have a meeting to come, and we have to come prepared to talk about what kinds of plans we can draft for the commission for next year. Okay. All right, so that's that. Okay, so any comments from commissioners, staff, or our student representative? Go ahead, Vigneault.
I just wanted to ask or bring up for discussion, is there any possibility of either setting up a subcommittee or working with Jay or other city staff to upgrade the website for the Human Rights Commission to make it more current, more relevant, more robust? I think it's again the public face of the commission, and yet in my personal opinion, it really lacks clarity. I think we could do a much better job. I'm happy to volunteer to work with somebody on it, but I don't know the process. Certainly we don't maintain it, but I think since it's our websites, our only public face, we should contribute to the content of it. So any thoughts, commissioners or Jay?
Our website is largely controlled by our director of communications. So I think if we have recommendations, and I think they'd be welcome as a good start. And there have been efforts to freshen up the web page and make it more effective, especially when COVID came around. The city created just a whole section for resources related to COVID for people who need housing, people who need to access healthcare, people who need rental assistance. And so all of those things were just kind of, nice little tiles were in there for you to choose and select from. So it was, kind of functional in that way too. So I think it's still up actually. So just kind of gleaning ideas like those, and maybe from other cities that you'd like to see, let us know, and we'll get together with the Amy to figure out how best to move it forward, bring some ideas to the commission, and just kind of take it from there. And then getting those changes up is something we can do in this department. So.
And it makes sense really for us to, if we have any specific suggestions or recommendations, to just follow the proper channels and bring those to the attention of the communications director. Any other comments?
But you want that to go through Jay.
Yes.
You don't want us to send anything directly to Amy, right?
No. It would have to go through our staff liaison.
Yeah, send them to me and I'll get the ball
Does
rolling.
does the full commission need to see every change in content that we want to recommend, or how do you want to handle this as a commission? Or just, do we just send our suggestions to Jay and he?
Yeah, I don't think we need to overcomplicate this, Commissioner
Okay.
Vignola. If you have very specific suggestions or recommendations that you would like to pass on to Jay, please go ahead and do so.
Yeah, it'll
Right.
probably be an iterative process, a little back and forth, so I don't think anything will be finalized until, most people who want to provide input have had the opportunity to do so.
Commissioner Ramaran.
Thank you, Chair Loyola. And I actually appreciate the one. I just wanted to make a comment, and this actually is about the master calendar because thank you, Chair, for changing the meeting this week. That we observed Indigenous Peoples Day on Monday. That we are coming to the end of Hispanic Heritage Month. We want to definitely celebrate that, and I want to definitely give pay honor to the Filipino American History Month that's happening this month as well in October, and Larry Itliong Day at the end of October 25th, and looking at the history of labor here in the desert. But I want to uplift our communities that way today. So thank you.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Ramaran. Certainly needed, and it's just great way to celebrate our diverse communities. Any other comments? Jay, did you pick up any additional agenda items for next meeting?
I did write it down. I don't know where it went. I thought we had just discussed one other item. Well, so there's from Commissioner Vignola, we've had the recommendations to discuss strategic planning and forming. We'll be looking at the application for
Mhm.
the community service awards, and I guess as ideas for website changes come in, and we have the opportunity to discuss with the Director of Communications how best to implement, or make sure there's no things that that she'd be worried about, then move it forward.
Terrific. Thank you for catching all of those. Certainly, if there's anything that we need to add for next month's agenda, let's include it. Let's see what else is here. So any announcement? I don't have any announcements to make. Does anyone have any announcements to make? Nope. All right, so it is 6:34. We're going to move to adjourn the meeting to a regular meeting in November, which is going to take place on November 14, 2022, at our regular time, which is 5:30 p.m. The meeting has been adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.